So we have a guest on board. Has come to spoil us, and he's bought a lot of treats. Lollipops, English tea, habanero pralines, HP sauce.
Look at this bracelet.
Wow, fudge, clotted cream fudge.
I get to name my very own turtle.
Yeah.
And I get all these stickers.
Wow.
So I get to track him. Maybe we'll bang him along the way.
Wow.
It's got shows me so I can. Oh, so my class is called Piper,
Okay.
and yes, we're gonna try find it.
We collected Kiri in Shelter Bay so that he could make the 24-hour crossing to Bocas Del Toro with us. Kiri was keen to experience as much as he could of sailing life, as he too has dreams one day to own a catamaran and sail the oceans.
The sail to Bocas del Toro is a challenging one. You have swell coming from the east and a strong current coming down the coastline from the northwest, and wind or no wind in generally whichever direction it prefers for that moment.
We've got Seasons Pass behind us. They're going to sail with us to Bocas. Sounds windy, but it doesn't say it's windy. Here.
I know, it's just that like little fear factor that...
We got Kiri on board. Say hi. So we're just at the entrance of the breakwater to the Panama Canal, and we're just waiting for some ships to go past. We've got this big one. I don't know where Majuro is. Where's Majuro?
How heavy is that? It was like 8 kilos.
Wow, look at those teeth.
Some fantastic news. Claire, over. You guys going to stop and reel him in?
We have reeled him in and he's around an 8-kilogram barracuda. Over.
Oh, that's great news. I've got some sleeping girls here, so we're not doing much fishing, but well done, over.
So we've had to turn around because our buddy boat, our Seasons Pass buddy boat on the way to Bocas, we lost them in the night, and we lost contact with VHF, and we're trying to keep an eye on their light, but then it started disappearing. So we've turned around to look for them because we're worried about them. So we are now about 15 miles into turning around, and we've been calling systematically on the VHF for them, hoping that we'll get VHF contact with them just to find out that they're okay before we carry on to Bocas, because we'd hate to get to Bocas and not know where they are or what's going on.
Seasons Pass, this is Makara, over. Don't start making please.
No reply? Okay.
So at 11 o'clock, I estimate them to be about 7.5 miles away from where we were at that point, so another half an hour now. So they should be about 3 miles away from us. We can't pick them up on VHF, so I'm not sure where they are. Like I said, they may have gone closer to land, so we could have missed each other now, and I think shortly we're going to have to turn and head back towards Bocas again.
Probably see them in the anchorage.
And see them in the anchorage. They'll probably beat us there now. Again, we'll never beat anybody. But I think we better get in touch with Shelter Bay and just say, look, we're looking for them. If they come back there, please let us know.
As this was Seasons Pass's first overnight passage, they wanted to sail with another boat. Losing signal with them had us really worried. We knew that they were all not feeling great when we last spoke to them, and we were worried about how they were coping with the difficult sea conditions.
A visit from these friendly dolphins helped take our mind off things.
Sure, I'm sorry I missed that. I wanted to get that on video.
We've arrived in Zapatilla after a horrendous night's sail, full of rain and wind and waves. Anchored in the dark at about 4 a.m. and we've woken up to some pretty nasty weather. Lots of rain again, grey skies, very rare for Panama. But hopefully it'll clear. Bridle's holding perfectly. Great conditions for reef navigation.
Once we reached the Bocas Del Toro area, we were keen to locate Seasons Pass to make sure they were okay. Unfortunately, the weather we were expecting had arrived, so we had to navigate our way through the Bocas Reef System in very poor visibility. When we got to the Bocas Town anchorage, there was no sign of Seasons Pass. We were worried. We left the radio on and kept trying to call them up. About 2 hours after we dropped anchor, we heard them calling us on the radio. We were ecstatic to hear them. However, our jubilation soon turned when we heard that they actually did need help and were in a mayday situation. Their diabetic daughter had fallen unconscious on the trip. They had tried to get closer to land to try and reach help. When they arrived in the anchorage, she was still unconscious on board. The entire sailing community was mobilized to help. Nurses were on board as quickly as possible, and Bocas Town Marina were incredible in helping dock their boat and get the medical help she needed. She was whisked off to hospital in Bocas Town and later transferred to a larger hospital on the mainland in David. Fortunately, she made a full recovery. We were so relieved. It's amazing how quickly things can deteriorate at sea, and although we felt awful that we had lost contact with them, we soon realized that there would have been nothing we could have done, even had we been with them. As we were not doing long passages at the time, we had disconnected our satellite phone, which is our go-to in emergencies at sea. This experience made us realize how important it is to have contact, even for these short periods of time when cell phones and VHF radios are useless.
Bocas Marina, we're just about to lift anchor. There's a gentle breeze blowing, so we should get the sails up, and Claire is ready and waiting to lift the anchor.
We're here in Bocas Marina and we've had a great time here surfing and wakeboarding and all of that, but now we're going to go head down to Red Frog, which is just down there somewhere, and yeah, we're lucky to get there again.
The sailing conditions in Bocas are great. As you're in a protective bay, there is literally no ocean swell, and so long as you have a bit of wind, the boat flies along. We had an awesome spinnaker run to Red Frog. There was a very gentle breeze blowing from behind.
We will come and fetch you, I promise, but we're going to have to get the spinnaker down first. All right?
Hold your ass. Yeah, go like this. Nathan, go like this. Ready?
Ah! Come on.
Ready? 3, 2, 1.
In you go, Chin.
That's gonna be hard. Wow. Go to the end of the call bell. That's very hard. The end of the call.
We had a great time jumping off the bow, swimming through the hull, and being towed behind the boat. As we were going 2 to 3 knots, it was the perfect time to have some fun.
If I could see what it was.
Claire and Kiri discuss the best way to navigate safely through what is called the Gap, a narrow channel joining two larger pieces of water. They navigate safely through to get Bukhara to Red Frog Marina.
Nice. For me?
That night, Kiri very kindly treated us to tacos and cocktails in the local beach bar.
You guys are pretty good out there. I saw you ripping it up.
Excuse me, sorry. Are we still waiting for Sex on the Beach? Thank you.
The following morning, we went out on a dinghy exploration. As in San Blas, this area of Panama has indigenous Indian tribes who still live traditional lifestyles, fishing in the mangroves for food and farming on the islands. It was great to see these ways of life still exist, even in such a popular tourist destination.
All too soon, it was time to head back to Bocas town so that Kiri could catch his flight back home.
We anchored back in the south anchorage where there were a number of boats we knew.
The boys met up with their friends to go surfing, and we explored the waterfront of Bocas town. The waterfront property in Bocas is unique in that it's not built on land but instead on stilts over the water. When you buy a waterfront property, you are simply purchasing the small slither of land in front of the ocean, and then you lease the space that overhangs the water. It's easy to see why every property has its own dock.
It's amazing. One of many you guys are going to have here.